So we had a Clasico, came and it went very quickly, but it left a lot of things to discuss. Let's go first into the, what can we choose? Story of the game. Quite clearly, the decision of Koeman to play the young in the midfield with three centre-backs did not work. And it didn't work because obviously Real Madrid were very effective, arrived twice, scored twice, but it was easy to attack Barcelona. Barcelona could not get the ball back of Real Madrid. It was easy for them to build in the way they decided to do it. From the first goal especially, but even earlier than that, you had Fede Valverde, a midfielder, who was placed in the line of back four, so he was the fifth defender, to stop the likes of Jordi Alba running in behind. So that was not there, because Dembélé was playing in between the centre-backs as a centre-forward, but he didn't really make too many runs in behind. He didn't link up as a forward. It was a nullity, which meant that it was easier to stop Messi. And De Jong couldn't add much, neither could Pedri, because Real Madrid were defending deep and compact, and with the lines very close together. So it was only fair that Real Madrid went 2-0 up, and it could have been even worse. But the changes at half-time of Koeman made a difference, with taking Dest off, the right wing back, and put Griezmann on. What you had was three offensive proposals for the four defenders of Real Madrid to worry about. And of course, as the time went on, it was harder for Valverde to do everything he had to do, and he had to do a lot. He had to attack down his wing, run with the ball as he did for the first goal, and of course be alert to any runs in behind from Alba by, as I said, incorporating himself to the back line. It was too much, so that's why he was replaced in the minute 60. But from that tactical change, it was a Barcelona that attacked better. Of course, Real Madrid were 2-0 up anyway, but it was easier for Messi to find Alba, for instance, more often, and it was easier for Barcelona to actually bring the ball through the centre, but then deliver to the, say, Mingueza on the right back, or Dembélé a couple of times, who also put a couple of crosses in. So there was a better Barcelona. But Zidane reacted again. And in the minute 70, he made a triple substitution that brought fresh legs to Real Madrid. At that point, Real Madrid could push the defensive line further up the field. And then, even though it was 2-1, at that point, Real Madrid could actually attack a little bit more. So both teams had chances. Both teams hit the post twice. Against the general opinion that, with the Elijah hitting the bar at the end would have been a fair result, I think Real Madrid played this game better. And I do feel that sometimes we anticipate what should be the look of Barcelona next season by having the feeling of almost like melancholic feeling that Koeman is the man. I think Koeman has done a great job right now, and I'm not reacting only to the result against Real Madrid, because yes, if Elijah Moribas should have gone in, then it would have been 2-2, and people would be talking differently. I wouldn't, because I just feel that Koeman has done a great job stabilizing a very unstable ship, but when Barcelona have to attack teams that are deep and compact, as it was Real Madrid, when they have to play the big games, as it was one of the games against Juventus, yes, they won the other one, but the PSG fixture, the game against Atletico Madrid so far, the other Clasico, they lost both, there's something missing, and it's not just players. I think the team should have more weapons to sort out the problems that they find in the team. Of course, what Koeman has done is bring young players through, and he's giving them the confidence. All that is true, but transition doesn't exist in teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid. They need to win now. They are still, of course, in a chance for the league. That's why I'm saying, for the club, they're doing the right thing by making the decision about his future at the end, it's easy for us to have an opinion, and as I hear and having put a tweet on this, the world is divided between those that want to keep Koeman and those that don't. I think Barcelona requires a young, energetic manager that can give them those ideas that helps them when they are playing these solid teams. But anyway, it will be the club who will decide, and it's quite clear that they haven't made their mind up, because otherwise they would have said it already, haven't they? They would have said, no matter what happens in the cup final, no matter what happens in the league, Koeman will be our man. Well, they have not said that because they've got their own doubts too. And more things to come from the game, and can serve as a preview for the Liverpool game. There were 3 players that had to leave the pitch because they were not physically at the best. Fede Valverde was one, Militao as well, and Lucas Vázquez, who got a knock too in his knee. So we'll see, as Zidane said at the end of the game, they are at the limit. Zidane was talking about the lack of physical strength or energy from the side. They don't know how they're going to sort things out. I mean, if Varane, obviously Sergio Ramos is injured, Varane is still with COVID. If Militao is actually injured, more serious than he looked, I think it was only prevention that brought him off. Well, then they'll only have one centre back, and actually Nacho is suspended for the Getafe game. So against Getafe, I don't know who play as a centre back, but that is the kind of thing also that makes teams stronger, and somebody else will do the job. The thing about Real Madrid and why they managed to turn things around when we don't expect it, I've been thinking a lot about this, and certainly it's down to the choices of Zidane. That substitution in the minute 70 gave the team more energy, allowed to put pressure to Barcelona. Still, the team was tired, and you could see it at the end, but it gave them an impetus which stopped the progression of Barcelona for a while. But the thing that benefits Zidane is that, when he plays 3 at the back, he doesn't prepare that so much, but he's got players that have got intelligence and quality. They were the best players of the team they came from, so they carry all that with them when they take decisions, when there is a time to change their approach, and when you have to be accurate in everything you do. They are some of the best players around. It helps them. Plus Zidane, as I say, he sees things, doesn't work at them so much, but the players understand it and apply it. Completely different approach that Real Madrid had against Barcelona. Defend deep. They obviously couldn't take the ball off Barcelona, or they decided that they wouldn't. It wouldn't be a good idea to match possession. So defended deep and counter-attack, because for Barcelona it's very difficult to defend those counter-attacks. More on that in a minute. Against Liverpool it was different. It was, let's build from the back, let's make sure they control, and then at some point when Liverpool had to attack them, yes, let's hit them in the counter. Well, they have been adapting to all that, and that's why you've got a Real Madrid that right now are actually in with a chance to win the Champions League maybe, or at least get to the semi-finals. And of course, they've got a chance in the league as well. It's going to get very interesting. On that, very quickly, I think Atletico Madrid will come out of the rut they're in, even though Luis Suarez is out for 3 weeks. I still think Atletico Madrid will come back. You cannot just have a crisis so long that will take you to the end of the season. Which means that the game against Barcelona, Atletico Madrid-Barcelona, will be absolutely crucial. I think it's at the Camp Nou, and may benefit even Real Madrid. But I think Atletico Madrid, if they beat Betis today, then they're still in my eyes favourites. Still are. Everybody thought inside the camps at Madrid and Barcelona that the Clasico wasn't a defining one because points will be dropped, and that quite clearly, I agree with that. Is what will happen, because both Barcelona and Madrid, also Atletico Madrid, may drop points as they're facing some of the teams that are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table, and almost every game matters. So it will be still very tight, very interesting competition with 8 games to go, 9 for Atletico Madrid, and as exciting as it has been, as it was in 13-14, in 15-16. Because for those that think that La Liga is not very competitive, let me tell you that out of the last 20 leagues, in 10 of them, The first one, the winner of the league, ended up with 5 points of less separate to the second. So always very, very tight, and it proves to be this one another one that will be difficult to predict. So we'll have to keep an eye on it every week in La Liga TV and everywhere else. I was telling you, I'll go back to one idea that we discussed with Albert Ferrer in the studio of La Liga TV yesterday, on and off camera. How do you stop a team counter-attack in Barcelona? Because that has been always the problem for coaches, to actually stop that happening. It was, of course, the regular tactic of Jose Mourinho against Barcelona, but even the likes of Ancelotti, that's not related to that style, they've used it as well because of the pace of Benzema and Cristiano and Bale. All that is also down to the fact, the analysis that it's very difficult for Barcelona to stop a counter-attack. How do you stop it? And there is no easy solution. In fact, you have to perhaps look at City and progression of the idea of dominating and having a lot of players up front to find an answer. Because Barcelona still attack with 8. And what we're seeing with City when they play the likes of Liverpool, they defend with 5 now. They have a full-back that comes inside. They have one holding midfielder, but helped by another one. You've got the centre-back. So 5 are there. And 5 attack. And yes, the ones that defend are very high up the pitch, because when they lose the ball at City, they got 5-6 seconds which they go and attack you to try to get it back. Barcelona don't have that energy anymore, and players that couldn't do that anymore. They spend their energy somewhere else. The ones up front, it's Messi's one, Griezmann sometimes, Dembele doesn't think of that often. So unless you have both things, a system that has evolved, and I don't think Barcelona have evolved the system and the style that much, and I don't think they will do it with Koeman either. Because evolving it would mean, yes, perhaps defending with 5, attacking with 5, or some other ways, but they're not doing that. And the other one is to have the energy to actually go at the teams when Barcelona lose the ball, and they don't do that consistently enough. And it's difficult to do in 90 minutes. It's very, very difficult for coaches to get an answer to this one. And even Albert Ferrer, who's thought about it a lot, hasn't got a clear answer. Perhaps is that he pointed out to City, them doing that as an alternative to being counter-attack, because that's where Real Madrid did damage to Barcelona with a Vinicius that was very tight at the end, but very involved and getting better in his decision making. With Valverde, who was used for all those things that we mentioned earlier, to defend deep, but also to drive with the ball and to appear in the box, and he did all of that until he couldn't anymore after 60 minutes. Modric and Kroos were quiet, but did their usual job. Casemiro was sent off at the end, of course, but was crucial in that compactness of Real Madrid. And for Barcelona, Griezmann had a chance, a very clear chance. I think Messi was surrounded by 2 players in the first half, and in the second half more were created because he had more time with the ball. Dembele is not a number 9, but he was a little bit ineffective on the right hand side either. The 3 centre backs did well, quite well in the second half, and those were 3 centre backs that really you can start to trust regularly as well. I mean, with Piqué as well, but especially Mingueza. Mingueza is fast, doesn't make mistakes, doesn't commit many fouls. He's becoming a very good weapon for Barcelona. But like with Elijah Moriba, Ansu Fati when he comes back, Araujo himself, still a young side that needs to convince Messi, because right now, there was a question also put by Simon Hanley in La Liga TV to actually convince Messi to stay, because that's where we are. You have to convince Messi to stay, and Laporta thinks he can convince him, but to do so, he has to show. We should have seen Barcelona being able to compete with the bigger sides, and I think more often than not they haven't. But also that what is being negotiated, the arrival of big names, or at least a centre forward, that will definitely make the difference. Because it takes a while for Barcelona to score goals. That gets confirmed, and then Messi can think about it. What centre-back? How much money is there? And would that mean a fund investing in Barcelona to be able to pay for a centre forward? But if that's the case, where is the power? Where's the authority of the club going? To people that are not in the board, not to the season ticket holders anymore? A lot of confusion about where Barcelona will get the money for a big signing like Holland, for instance, and if they want to convince David Alaba as well. So still question marks, big question marks, huge question marks before Messi can decide. So the answer to will he stay, was it his last Clasico? I don't know, because I think he doesn't know either. He hasn't got the offer from Barcelona yet, and he's got to see all that before he actually takes a decision. One thing I almost forgot to mention is the referee, and really I get bored with this insistence, sometimes from Madrid, sometimes from Barcelona, that the referee has got such a big influence on matters. It was not a penalty from Mendy to Braithwaite, confirmed by me, my opinion, not a penalty. Not a penalty. And I understand those that say, yeah, but look, you look at, against Valladolid, Oscar Plano, when he was sent off, didn't deserve to be sent off. So do you want to lower the standards? I don't think so. I think you actually should look for things that are penalty instead of looking for those that were given not being a penalty, if you know what I mean. I really don't like to talk about referees, but Koeman did. And then Piqué came off and added more pressure. They're all playing for the gallery because, of course, there is still 8 games to go. And it's another way to add pressure, to try to gain an advantage there. But Koeman doesn't need to talk about referees. He doesn't really. I mean, there were other reasons why Barcelona lost. And he could have even accentuated the fact that they almost got a point and that they had moments in which they played well. But what happened in the first 45 minutes? The reading of the game wasn't good enough, and then things have to change at half-time. That is that is a mistake by the manager. But I guess Koeman was really heated by the whole thing, genuinely, because he's honest from that point of view. He genuinely felt that the influence of the referee was high. But I think as a manager, you should come up with different responses and different way of analysing the game. We put in too much pressure to the referees. We demanding too much of them. VAR is a completely different matter, which we'll talk about it another day. But it was a bit disappointing from Koeman to actually come out with those lines at the end of the game, because it was down to 2 things: the 4 minutes given at the end, and actually it was 2 minutes in which the referee had to correct his sound system, and then 2 minutes given for the substitutions and injury stops. 4 minutes was about correct. You can give it 5 minutes if you like, but does that excuse a manager to be complaining about referees? The other one was a penalty that wasn't really, not in my eyes. So that was the Clasico, and of course, in thinking of Liverpool, Real Madrid will have to rest for 2 days. Hardly no training, especially for the older fellas, but you have seen a Real Madrid that adapts well to every circumstance, to every game at the moment, as it was when they had to play Sevilla, Atletico Madrid, and in the middle Borussia Mönchengladbach, and they had to win, and they actually won the 3. When it's required, they just raised the game. Well, they beat Liverpool, they beat Barcelona. They have to finish the job at Anfield. I think they will do it, but I'm sure that we haven't seen the best Liverpool yet in that fixture. So that's it for now. I hope you spend it's Sunday today, so a good Sunday and a good week. And I won't be at Anfield actually, because I will have had to isolate for 10 days, but I'll be at PSG Bayern Munich for CBS. I'm very much looking forward to that. And then I'll be for DAZN at the cup final on Saturday. I'll be the co-presenter on the pitch. I did it for the first one, the Real Sociedad Athletic Club, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to that too. And plenty more that will be coming in my social media. So I'll see you